All right, guys, what's up, everybody? Jeff Sintel, DogNation.com here. Got a special edition today of Jeff Sintel, DogNation.com. Got a special edition today of Before the Hedges. Thankfully, we got Michael Carvel back in the studio, but I am here, just wrapped up from the opening. That's the national showcase for elite prospects. Just about everybody who's anybody was here. We had guys like not the only people that were missing from this event. We had didn't have Keely Ringo, didn't have Zachary Evans. He was the scratch. Justin Flo was the scratch. Saw a lot of guys. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to have kind of an interactive forum. I'm actually right here in the Dallas airport. Going to fly back to Atlanta tonight. Going to enjoy the 4th. But for right now, I got a lot of time. Maybe in the next 30, 40 minutes or so, we got time to hang out on Facebook, talk all things opening. This is going to be one of those old school fireside chats we used to have back in the days on Wednesday Night Lives and Before the Hedges. Brought to you by Kroger as well. And I'm going to fire up my phone. I'm going to take some questions. As I do so, I'm going to basically go about, there's probably about 20 talking points I can give you guys from the opening and what we saw, what we've learned. We learned about a lot of guys. I think some of the biggest storylines I saw right now were, I think Tate Ratledge did what he needed to do to get his 4th star. I think he exceeded what he needed to do to go from his 4th star to his 5th star. I think when the next re-rack of the ratings come out, Tate Ratledge will be a 5-star tackle. He was dominant. I think he had 20 reps, 23 reps this week. I think he only lost 3 or 4, maybe 5. I think he lost 2 to Brian Brzee. I think he won 4 against Brian Brzee. I think he went like 5-2 against DJ Ojolari. Tremendous player in his own right. And then this kid, guys, I want to tell you about Corey Foreman. Corey Foreman is the nation's number 5 overall prospect out of California. He was one of those rare juniors invited to the event. He got Tate a lot on the first day and then yesterday of the lineman drills of the opening. And quite frankly, I don't know. I asked Tate this question. Tate said that he'd never seen a guy that athletic in pads before. Of course, he's went against Miles Murphy in camps or at the Atlanta opening regional, but never from small private school single A Darlington. He'd never seen a player like Corey Foreman out of California. So he got into his playbook, he got into his mindset, he got into his technique, adjusted really well today, and I think he won all 3 reps against Corey Foreman. So I think he probably wound up being like 3 and 4 for the week, something like that. Against Corey Foreman, a guy that's got a Georgia offer, nation's number 5 overall prospect. But I think one of the biggest storylines for Georgia fans and the folks that follow this program, I think one of the biggest storylines is how well Tate performed. Carson Beck, that's a guy we got to talk about here on this show. Carson Beck didn't have the best opening, or at least an opening that I thought he was capable of. Carson, I think, wound up 9th in the quarterback ratings out of 20 guys. It seemed like he had trouble adjusting to receivers. There were some high school receivers that worked the camp the first few days. He's just not used to throwing to guys like that. I thought Carson Beck did much better when he got a chance to throw to some of the elite guys around here, the elite guys in the country. I thought maybe his best day of the opening was the day he worked before the 707 tournament. Now, what was interesting about the Elite 11 in the tournament is the players picked who got to run the tournament. And the quarterbacks there are 5 quarterbacks on each team, and they voted on who should be the guys that are the ones that work during the opening. And Carson, his name didn't come up. He wasn't one of the guys to work for Team Drip, even though the Team Drip made it all the way to the finals against Team Savage. He wasn't one of the quarterbacks. Surprising, I know. He wasn't one of the quarterbacks that got a lot of attention during that week. Going to go through some questions. Hollis, man, I appreciate you. Old school between the hedges. James Crubb, yeah. Corey Foreman is a bad dude. I mean, he is just different. That's what the players were doing. When he was repping yesterday against Tate, everybody was watching, even some of the skill guys, and Legend Cavazos, who's committed to Ohio State, a very firm commitment to Ohio State. He yelled out, "He's just different, man," because Corey Foreman is different. He's very interested in playing in the SEC. You guys are going to read about that on Dog Nation soon. I got a chance to talk to Mr. Foreman. Very interested in Nolan Smith and checking out the program that was good enough for Nolan Smith. And it sounds like he's going to go on a barnstorming tour next year. Remember, he's just a 2021 kid. And he's interested on a barnstorming tour of the Southeast. And he said he's most likely going to put Georgia among those schools he will visit. The other name to talk about, Corey Foreman. Let's talk about him one more second. Corey Foreman was the defensive lineman MVP. And a very stunning upset there because Corey Foreman was in a field that included guys like Dravon Dexter, Trey Williams, Brian Brzee. Corey Foreman, the 6'5", 250-pounder from California, was the defensive lineman MVP. And get this, it wasn't even Ratledge who won offensive line MVP. It was Donovan Jackson, who visited Georgia recently. And D-Jax, who's out of Episcopal, the same high school that produced Marvin Wilson and Walker Little, visited Georgia recently, had basically a private, unofficial visit. Georgia sees him as a tackle, but he worked as guard. He worked as a guard to get into the camp coming out of the Houston Regional. But he's a tackle. Sam Pittman told his family that he's a tackle in the Georgia mindset, the way they see him because of his very long arms. And he worked the camp at both guard and tackle. And Jackson, that's why he was also named the offensive line MVP over a guy like Tate Ratledge, who I thought was very deserving. I'm gonna chat with you. I'm sitting here on Facebook. I'm gonna try and bounce back and forth between Facebook and YouTube, and I'm gonna take some questions. David Bell, I think you can hear me. I'm hearing guys that say they can't hear me. Make sure you roll up everything on your recorders, roll up everything on your devices. I want to make sure. Give me some thumbs up. Got to get back to old school Dog Nation here. If you guys got audio, give me a thumbs up so I can make sure you guys have pretty good audio for our program today. Tony Jackson's got audio. David Hill's got audio. John White, man, just promise you, man, we've got audio check from studio control. We've got thumbs up. Scott Anderson, Robert Lee Cleary Jr. can hear me just fine. So let me talk to you guys about, guys, it's kind of hard. I'm trying to deliver some intel, give you some juice, give you some scoop. Darnell Washington, Eric Gilbert, guys like that. And I'm trying to I'm on my MacBook. I'm Skyping live from my MacBook. I'm checking my phone. Nancy Newton Erickson can hear. Charles Kaiser, James Crump. Lots of people. It's funny. I'm sitting here conducting the broadcast, and you see players. We're all taking flights back everywhere, and I see kind of players like walking in front of me, and everything else like that. Keith Simmons, I do think that Tate Ratledge gets his fifth star. Ricky Shane Roland Roro has audio from California. So here's what's interesting. I got a chance to talk to a lot of guys, and there'll be a lot of coverage coming up on Dog Nation. A lot of videos. Got a chance to talk to Noah Sewell. Noah Sewell just tweeted out that July 28th was a big day for him. And what Noah Sewell's going to do is, that's the 4-star athlete. He's an inside linebacker. Wants to be an inside linebacker on Saturdays. He just tweeted out that he's going, July 28th is a big day. That's the day he's going to announce his top 8 schools. He hopes to have his decision down to a top 5 halfway through his senior season. And then he plans to make his decision before his senior season. Get this, guys. This is information I just put on the Dog Nation forum maybe about 15 minutes ago before we went live. Noah Sewell he's got a series of official visits set. He's got 3 official visits set. Those are to Georgia, Texas A&M, and Oregon. A lot of folks saw what he was wearing during workouts, and they saw a dog tag that had an O on it. And I want to just let the folks know that wasn't for Oregon. That was for Orem High School in Utah. They have a similar logo. Travis Fountain, thank you, sir. You can hear just fine. James Crump can hear just fine. Raj Patel. Let's see. Yeah, guys, I put this in the Dog Nation forum. He is one of the most exciting players that a guy like me has a chance to cover. You just don't see guys that big move that fast. I don't know if I've ever seen a Georgia inside linebacker target move the way he does and be as active as the way he does. I mean, maybe Nakobe's the only one that comes to mind, but and yet, Noah Sewell's doing this at 266 pounds, 268 pounds. I was watching him today in a 7-on-7 in the morning session. Guys, his folks were telling him that they wanted him to. His DBs were wanting him to kind of check the receivers as they came through his zones, and he was doing that. And quite frankly, he knocked some guys down. Javon Baker, a tremendous receiver out of McEachern High School, is going to Alabama. He just literally put him on the ground with just kind of a forearm bump to just redirect him off his route and slow him down. I mean, just an impressive young man. Sounds like he has a lot of positive things to say about Georgia. I will share those with you guys on dognation.com, of course. Got a chance to talk to Marcus Rosemy. Marcus Rosemy, very engaging kid, very fun guy to talk to, big receiver. He kind of reminds me of a guy like Michael Irvin. He's about 6'2", 195. Michael Irvin actually came from the same high school in South Florida, St. Thomas Aquinas, as Marcus Rosemy comes out with, and he is absolutely done. He will take no more visits. He is a Georgia Bulldog, quite happy to be a Georgia Bulldog. Got a chance to talk to Jacoby Cowan this week. Got a chance to talk to Tank Bigsby this week. Got a chance also to talk to, I guess, the name of the hour for the next few weeks for Georgia football and Georgia football recruiting focus. That's Kendall Milton. His decision will come on July the 29th. And he's already started talking to me. He says the decision is almost 95% in. He has some more things to work through, more things to discuss, more things to talk about with his family. But he says the decision is almost 95% done and cooked and out of the office, out of the oven, so to speak. He was very interesting. This is something you'll read and see on dognation.com. He's already figuring out or thinking about the running backs he'd like to play with when he makes his decision. And he rolled off 4 names. He rolled off Zachary Evans. He rolled off Marshawn Lloyd, and he also rolled off Tank Bigsby. Those were the 3 names he really talked about. And he got a chance to work with Tank Bigsby this week and see what he was all about. He definitely Kendall Milton felt that those 2 backs and their skill sets complement one another. So on the subject of Kendall Milton, he has told me, and folks close to him have told me that he tested very well here at the Nike opening. I've got various sources on this, various reports, but I have him running at 4.5 at the Nike opening, but all the way down, the opening, not the Nike opening. But I have him running anywhere from like 4.46 to a 4.5 at the opening. And that is indeed the time he put down on the laser. That is fast enough to play for anybody in college football, including the Georgia Bulldogs. Travis McCullough. Tate did really good against Brazil. I tweeted out those clips of those to everybody, and a lot of Tate's reps. He was just very impressive. Had some help from Team Ratledge, making sure I got all those clips there. But with Tate Ratledge, I really liked the sportsmanship and the brotherhood that was shown by Brian Brzee and also Tate Ratledge together. They called it that good work, and that was what they flew halfway across America to get, those type of reps against somebody like that. Tate continues to be an outspoken ambassador for all things Georgia with the program. He will be there at Georgia for the late July recruiting event, right before another dead period kicks in. Robert Reynolds, how are you doing, sir? Donnie Keene, what's up? Um, How love, man. I appreciate the information. Now I got a couple of things to share. I'll share about Brigitte. I had a chance to talk to him, and this will be a story on DogNation.com. But man, when you read what Brian Brigitte had to say about Georgia and how close it came for him in Georgia, it'll make a lot of folks a little bit sick in the stomach because that young man is the best defensive lineman in the country for this class, and there's really not a lot of argument about that. Carlos Cordoso, man, how are you, sir? Chris Fairfield, how are you? Uh, Tavedas, Jason Taylor. Miles Murphy was here at the opening, but he was dinged up and he did not work out. Tony Burson's giving out some video on sound. Want to make sure everybody can hear everybody okay. Richard Pollard, how are you, sir? So tight ends, we got to talk about these tight ends. And this is tough because if you were Kirby Smart and Todd Hartley and you said Reed Gilbert, Darnell Washington, and Theo Johnson all said yes and they want to come. Well, Georgia's really only got room for two tight ends in this class, just two. And who is that? Is that Gilbert? Is that Washington? Here's the way I see those three of those guys. Reed Gilbert is the professor. He's the clinician. He's the technician with route running. He's 6'5.5". He's 255. Gilbert even told me if you saw that very informative update he gave all of us at the opening this week, Gilbert told me that he was surprised by both Theo Johnson and Darnell Washington because he didn't think guys that size, his size, could move the way that he does. He was just very impressed by both of those guys. So we're going to call Eric Gilbert the technician, the route running maestro. When you look at Darnell Washington, he is the giant. He is the size behemoth, 6'7.5". He was catching passes everywhere. Noah Sewell even tried to check him coming through the line as well because he was banging on that guy too. You got to love that attitude about Noah. Darnell's kind of that guy that he's one of those first guys off the bus guys. He impresses you when you see him. He's just very, very, very much the type of guy that can sell a lot of Under Armour compression pads, compression jerseys. He just looks the part of a model prototype football player. And then you got Theo Johnson, who's big like both of those guys, but I think he's more athletic than both of those guys. I think Gilbert's a very good route runner, and he even gave a lot of credit to how he saw Darnell Washington. He thought Darnell Washington had a lot more polish to his routes than he thought he would expect it out of a guy coming out of Nevada. So Darnell really impressed Eric as well. One more thing, Eric said this week at the opening that those two guys have been talking, and they are coming to an accord where they're talking, it sounds like those two want to play together and will play together. So those two have some schools in common. They have Tennessee in common, they have Alabama in common, and they have the University of Georgia in common. Eric Gilbert also spoke about his timeline. Another interesting update here from the opening is Eric Gilbert said he would like to be done by the end of September, and he only needs the games of September to be able to figure out all these schools that say you're going to be our tight end, and I want you to see what we're doing new with our tight end spot. Well, Gilbert thinks he only needs about 3 or 4 games in the 2019 season to figure that out. And he'll be at Notre Dame, and that Notre Dame game will be a very interesting chance for Georgia to impress him. He says he doesn't want to see any stick routes or any basic routes from the tight end. He wants to see some real corner routes, some real double moves, stuff like that from the tight end position. So that was a big update from Eric Gilbert. I'm just kind of sharing with you guys what were my thoughts that come to mind about, hey, you need to know this about the opening. Hey, you need to know this about the opening. So if you've got questions in there, guys, don't be shy, and we will tell him. We will let you guys know, answer what you guys want to see. Jeff Tatum, man, I appreciate that. Thank you. Frank Dozier Knight, thanks for watching. Xavier Brown, hey, thanks for watching, man. I'm going to give you as many updates that you want. Duke Brandon has fixed his update. Johnny Webster. Hey, man, what's up? Hey, man, I'm just chilling in the Love Field, Dallas airport. Steve Weimer. Thank you, sir. Glad you read our coverage. And listen, man, I'm about to hit 1.21 gigawatts over the next 3 weeks. I got so many stories I got to write coming out of this. Spoke to Monte Williams, spoke to Tank Bigsby, spoke to Jacoby Cowan, spoke to Kendall Milton, spoke to Noah Sewell, took a bunch of pictures. I hope you guys have seen some of them on the site. Spoke to Carson Beck, spoke to Corey Foreman, spoke to Dontavius Jackson, the 2021 recruit that just stole the show a little bit here in the offensive line, defensive line, final five today here in the opening. And hey, guys, one more thing. If you haven't done this in a while, let's see how quickly everybody can hit the likes. If I've said anything interesting or anything intelligent or you learned anything about Georgia recruiting so far on this program, just hit that like button. Just kind of for old time's sake, when I was on my back porch and the squeaky screen door, if everybody remembers that. Anybody remembers our young puppy dog, Peaches, barking through all that? Keith Simmons. Tank Bigsby, I want to tell you this about Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby is a lot bigger and thicker than I thought he was. He weighed in at the opening this week, and he is 6 feet, a little over 6 feet and 214 pounds. Really looked put together. And, you know, for Georgia people that like to think one guy's the thunder, one guy's a hammer, and the other guy's more of the lightning and the quicksilver, change of pace, breaking dudes' ankles down. That looks like the guy named Tank Bigsby can handle that role. And Kendall Milton, everybody wanted to know about what he did and what his 40 time looked like. He ran it a couple of times, and he kept wanting to get it down to a 4.60, and he told me he got it down to a 4.60 at the opening. But get this, something to consider there. He was all the way up to 229, almost 230 pounds this week. For him to run that 4.6 at 229, 230 pounds, that to me was a good performance. Anthony White, how are you, sir? John William Adams, good question. Who surprised me with more Georgia vibes than expected? Well, I got a good kind of take on who should be vibing Georgia right now, and who should not. Who's thinking about it? Chris Thompson Jr. got to think about it. That's a safety out of Texas. He told me he needs to go back to Georgia to see that again. If you saw the update we did with Don Chaney Jr., he put to rest any thoughts of Georgia and Dell McGee flipping him. He said he's locked in basically with 100 locks on it. That was a very impressive back as well. Guys that had Georgia vibes, I want to tell you that Mr. Jackson, the 2021 prospect out of Houston area in Episcopal, the one guy who won the offensive line MVP here at the opening, he had a lot of Georgia vibes as well. Got a chance to talk to his family as well. They really liked everything that Sam Pittman in Georgia shared with them on that visit. Learned the story about Cooper Mays and his recruitment to Georgia. Of course, Cooper is very committed now to Tennessee. But kind of the ins and outs of Cooper Mays' recruitment. And I want to also tell you something about this. On the Mays family, of course, Cade is at Georgia. Cooper is committed to Tennessee. Did very well this week as well. Had some great reps this week against Jamil Burroughs. But they have a little brother who is 4 years old. And when you hear Southern women talk about the phrase all boy, his name is Camp Mays. Camp, 4 letters like going camping out by the lake or out by the river. He is already more than a handful, more than all boy. And it's funny, the pediatrician for the Mays boys growing up, they were like, with Cade was coming up, they said he's going to be about 6'5", 6'6". He's going to be about 325 pounds. And that's what Cade Mays is. And with Cooper, they said he's going to be about somewhere between 6'2" and 6'4", and about 285 pounds. And lo and behold, that's what Cooper Mays is. Well, with Camp, he's kind of already off the charts. They say he's going to be at least 6'7". He's bigger, he's wilder, he's more active than even both of his brothers are. And the funny little story, Nick Saban was the first one to do this. Nick Saban offered Camp Mays. And lots of other schools do that with celebratory offers, but I've got him down as a player to watch in the class of 2034. I've got him down a player to watch in the class of 2034 because he looks like the little brother, much like maybe Joshua Braun with the other two Brauns. He looks like he's going to be the biggest and potentially the biggest Mays brother around, and that's saying quite a lot. Let me catch questions. I want to do that, I guess. Elton Haas has a good question. Elton, hey, thanks for your question. I know you're a longtime viewer of our program as well. If Kendall Milton commits to the Georgia this month, who do I think is the second back? Right now, I think Tate Bigsby is that second back. Charles Kaiser wants to know about Andrew Rain. Tate Ratledge told me this week with really just basically said it word of mouth with any pomp and circumstance. But he thinks Andrew Rain ends up a Georgia Bulldog as well. Gene King, I think there will be a commitment coming sometime in the middle of this month. Tavedas Jason Taylor, why didn't UJ offer the athlete from Houston County? He is a stud. Mr. Taylor, you're exactly right. I think Wesley Steiner is indeed a stud. He's very fast. He was the Spark champion this year, much like Nolan Smith was last year for the Bulldogs as the Spark champion. But he's just not big enough, guys. If you've seen Georgia's inside linebacker room, it's tip our hat to Auburn. They're going to have one of the most athletic inside linebacker rooms in the SEC. But I just wonder about the wear and tear and the pounding with guys like Jamari Sawyer, Trey Hill, Cade Mays, Clay Webb coming at Auburn, and these guys in 2021, 2022, 2020, they're going to have a hard time holding up there in the run game. Hey, Barrett Fleming, hey, man, what's up? We got some Dog Nation royalty on our feed, man. I hope you're hitting them straight. Hope you're having a good summer. If I know you and your family, you've been in a lot of ballparks so far this summer. Steve Weimer wants to know about how solid is Brian Brzee to Clemson. Any chance of a flip there? Guys, Brian Brzee, much like we said this with Owen Papo, that ship has sailed, recruiting hard for Clemson. He's even trying to get Eric Gilbert to come to Clemson. Gilbert told me another big part of that update. Gilbert will be visiting Clemson that week in July when the whole country wants him to come take a visit. That's when Eric Gilbert will be there. Anthony White. Let me make sure I go over on to Shane Guy. Keely Ringo was not there. John William Adams. There's no concern with that at all by the Georgia staff. No, Georgia will not take a second QB in this class. The focus for Georgia on the next QB they will recruit is 2021 dual threat Caleb Williams. And if you don't know about Caleb Williams, I got to assign you guys to read some more homework on the Dog Nation forum. Taking care of a lot. Colt Gotti wants to know how many commits do I think Georgia takes this class. Colt, I think Georgia's going to take right at 24. Kirby always finds a way to get 25 or the max class, but I think he's going to get 23 or 24 in this class. Tony Jackson, how are you? Hope sound's going okay. Hope everybody's. Let me make sure I take care of. Hey, I understand, man. I'm sure everybody would like a guy like that because Kendall Williams is that type of player. I mean, Kendall Williams, Brian Brzee is that type of player. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's got power. He's got speed. It's like he's playing chess out there, setting some guys up. He's a total package. I think he's the best defensive lineman in the country. I know that Corey Foreman was named the the Elite 11 MVP coming out of this thing. But I mean, not the Elite 11. Corey Foreman was named the defensive lineman MVP coming out of this thing, and he's an impressive junior. Don't get me wrong, but I think the best guy overall was Brian Rusey. Let me jump on over to YouTube with one of those Brandon Adams style segues. I try not to look at my phone and get my computer to run. And then, guys, thanks for joining us on Before the Hedges. I know it's the 4th. I know you guys got a lot to do. Hopefully, you guys are getting some family time. You're sitting back. You're chilling with your favorite beverage, of course, and getting ready to celebrate the birthplace of our nation and all those freedoms we all hold seriously dear. Hugh Jazz, I think Georgia has already offered the youngest Mays brother. If I had to bet, I would say Jeremy Pruitt's already offered, Dabo Swinney's already offered, Nick Saban's already offered, and Kirby Smart and Sam Pittman have already offered. Catching up with my YouTubers right there. Everybody wants to know. Yeah, B.J. Ojulari, he's a great football player. It's one of those things is Georgia just has too many dudes in that room. Britton Cox, Adam Anderson, Mikhail Sherman's coming in this class, Nolan Smith, Jermaine Johnson, Azeez Ojulari. Part of the reason there's such a logjam there in Georgia for what B.J. Ojulari does is because his brother's part of the issue. He wants to play right away. He's good enough to play right away. And if he went to Clemson, he went to South Carolina, schools like that, even Auburn, he would do great there. He would play a lot faster. Crystal Chrissy, how are you doing, ma'am? I would say mid-July is when everybody should start thinking about that. Got a lot of Gator action here on our Georgia Dog Nation feed on YouTube. Hugh Jazz wants to know which Georgia 4-star commits are likely to get big rankings bumps after the opening. I think Nazir Stackhouse will go up a little bit. Tate will go up 4 to 5. I think Kimber's right there. Probably going to be a guy that's thought at maybe top 3, top 4 quarterback in the class. Georgia only had 6 here again. Carson's back. Tate Ratledge, Nazir Stackhouse, Marcus Rosemy. Marcus Rosemy is so good, guys, but I mean, he's rated as the nation's number 6 wide receiver, and yeah, he's number 38. He might go up to be a 5-star, but I don't know who's going to fall out of that top 32 for the composite to award him with a 5-star. We talked about this on the Dog Nation forum a little bit. You've got Desmond Doss, you've got G. Scott Jr., you've got Jermaine Burton, you've got Julian Fleming. I mean, there's not a lot of way you can go for Marcus Rosemy to climb over those dudes. And, I hope everybody saw some of the clip of Mr. Demas at the opening. The guy wore a velvet bonnet because his hair is so big. He danced on the star there like Terrell Owens did back in the day. Just had a really great time cutting up. And did you see him, the shots? If you need to Google him or go Demond Demas, Demondemes. Go on Twitter, look through that, and you'll see clip after clip of him looking like Neo in the Matrix, doing backflips after backflips. Marcus Rosemy even did some tumbling and some backflips as well. But that guy's going to Texas A&M, locked into Texas A&M, and he is a very highly athletic dude. Anthony White, thanks for watching. Stephen Wainwright, get me on my shirt, man. Well, I can't wear red and black every day. This is actually a salmon, a pink type color, everything else. Let me go back over here to how solid is MJ to Georgia do? I think he will stay committed to it in December. You're talking about Mikhail Sherman, MJ Sherman. He is very solid. He is about as solid to Georgia as you good people are solid to Georgia, perhaps even more so. William Lay. Well, you got to remember, struggled is a different term. Does he go from nation's number 25 to nation's number 20 defensive tackle? That's kind of what I was thinking there. Light Dog 1968. I do think Georgia gets a top 3 class overall. The funniest part about that story is Mr. Jazz is if Nick Saban is still coaching in the year 2034 to honor that scholarship that the University of Alabama proffered to the young Mays brother, that would be a story in and of itself. I don't even know if they'll be playing college football in the year 2034. It might be all, flag football, touch football. I don't even know. I don't even know if we'll be playing football in 2034. Sure hope so, though. Crystal Christie, good question. I think Georgia takes 2 tight ends in this class. Only thing that would get crazy is if Georgia tried to take Gilbert, Washington, and Theo as a hybrid tight end. Guys, we're almost about ready to wrap up. I hope everybody's thinking about Kroger. I hope they're thinking about getting those good groceries from Kroger. 4th of July, go get those hot dogs. Go get those. One of the things I want to ask everybody before we finish up is I want to know about what's everybody going to get for 4th of July. What is everybody cooking? What is everybody grilling up? Is anybody grilling up some gator? Is anybody grilling up something good like a big Boston butt, slow roaster in a cooker? I want to know what everybody's having for the 4th of July. And you can get all that good stuff at Kroger. Joel Moody says, dog just offered Roquan son at daycare today. Emory David Davis wants to know that BJ Ojolari. I think BJ wants to be his own man, do his own thing. I don't think he's going to Georgia. Joel Moody, Noah Sewell, big time. Big time. I asked his family, who does he play like? And, the easy thing for Noah Sewell is to say, okay, he looks like a bigger version of Troy Polamalu just because of, many reasons, the hair, the heritage and everything like that. But I think that kind of does him a little bit of a disservice a little bit. I asked his family what they thought he played like, and his dad had a very interesting answer. His dad said he thought he plays like an old school Derek Thomas, except you got Derek Thomas at 266 pounds. And folks, when I tell you the way this young man covers ground, it is a sight unseen of himself. I want to make sure everybody gets this visual. This was at the Rivals 5-Star Challenge, and he doesn't really practice it, but he was holding the football in his hands like this and catching punts one-handed with his other hand. And he was catching them all. I mean, at 266 pounds, the things he can do, a 4.13 short shuttle, a 4.75 in the 40. I'm going to tell you this. When me and my friend, Professor Adams, get back together for next week's Hedges, and we have our top targets list, I'm going to tell you right now, Noah Sewell is going to zoom way up. I mean, like Apple stock back in the day, like eBay stock back in the day during the tech bubble. That young man's going to rise up that top targets list. Going to take a few more questions. And guys, we got great content coming your way. I want to share that with you guys. We've got special interviews with Kendall Milton, special interview with Noah Sewell. We've got Avante Williams. We talked about that. We've got Carson Beck. We've got Tate Ratledge. We've got Marcus Rosemy. We've got Chris Thompson Jr. We've got Corey Foreman. We've got Octavius Jackson. We got a lot of stuff on Tate Ratledge. We took a lot of pictures. We brought the big guns out, everything else. Brought everything else to the table. And you guys, I just want to say thanks to everybody for joining us before the Hedges. This has been a special edition live from Love Field here at the Dallas Airport. Back in those old school before the Hedges type days on Wednesday nights. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Hope the audio was great. Hope the video was great. I apologize to everybody out there for wearing a salmon shirt and not something more red and black. Hope everybody has a safe 4th of July. Hope everybody has that good family time, has something good to eat. Hope everybody celebrates the birthplace of our nation. Here's some Lee Greenwood. See some fireworks as well and have themselves a really good time. I'm going to scan my devices one more time. John William Adams. I would say that Carson Beck was around a lot of the guys. Justin Kimber was around a lot of the guys. It was funny. Justin Kimber said he was working, but those two played on the same 7-on-17 Team Savage. And those guys won the overall competition, didn't lose a game. Really loaded with a lot of Ohio State receivers on that team. Um, yeah, Tavedas, Jason Taylor, you ran a 4.66. I was told you ran a 4.66 in the 40 at Laser 40, and that's pretty good. Charles Kaiser wants to know something about Cedric Von Prom, the chances on getting him. I think those chances are very strong. Tate Ratledge laid it out to me. We dropped this in the Dog Nation forum, or at least on one of our notes packages from the opening. Tate Ratledge believes that Cedric Von Prom and Andrew Rain will finish out the class there. All right, guys. Hey, man. Happy 4th of July. Hope everybody has a great one. Keep checking on dognation.com. We'll keep the stories coming. Everything should be looking pretty strong from the content front over the next few days. I'm Jeff Sintel. I do this thing called Cover Recruiting for dognation.com. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Thanks for hanging out on a special edition of Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. And my best to you and yours on the 4th of July. Have yourself a good week and a good weekend, everybody.